Question here to anyone who's actually watching this. You ever have someone complain about something that you're trying to do when they were doing something similar? Or in worst case scenario, someone's talking hot shit, can't back it up, only to be bitchy at you about it for no reason other than they literally just can't walk the walk, as it were?
I've been through that quite a few times myself.
As have I, as you can no doubt tell from the chat log on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro earlier today. Yeah, we intended on doing this a lot sooner, but unfortunately I couldn't get all my opinions in 10 minutes. So we initially intended to have Hazama back, because yes, he will be coming back, by the way. Also, there's the time frame in which this happened. But for now, we still have the newcomer. Say hello to DesertPinkMunchkin, everybody.
Hello there.
If you're wondering what the reference is, I'll explain it later. And by later, I mean not in this video, because today we actually have a pretty important topic to discuss. Salt to the point of toxicity within any community. Not just Yu-Gi-Oh, but in general. So stuff like Smash, Mario Kart, Mario Party, BB Tag, you name it. Any swarms of salt from any of that, especially when it gets to the point of toxicity and just outright sounding like a little bitch, as this guy proceeded to do. Especially when he was boasting like how I am the best duelist, I am the king in the notes, like you can probably see if I were to refresh. Stuff like this, where the notes are, that's where the messages usually are. But to get back on point, also normally I'm on the US servers, but whatever. To get back on topic, salt is fine, especially if it's among friends for the sake of a joke, that's one thing. But if it gets to the point of whining like a little bitch, then no. Just no.
When it gets to the point where a person is complaining when they did something wrong and are refusing to accept it, it's wrong.
Well, here's the thing. He didn't do anything wrong up until one particular point, and I'll talk about that later, even though I really shouldn't be helping this guy. But, to put it lightly, look at the situation we're basically about to be in. Essentially, what I'm doing here, just to clarify what's going on, is effectively set up an Omni-Negate board with Quasar, Blazar, a bunch of interactions, and hand traps. To basically say, no, you are not allowed to play the game.
It takes a long time to set it up.
If the hurry up wasn't
from experience.
5 minutes, 4.5 at fastest, but nonetheless. But getting back on topic, that may seem obnoxious, and it may seem like he has a right to complain, until you realize he's doing the exact same thing with Inspector Border and True Draco. A deck...
And also the fact that he could literally, instead of complain about the time, he could check Twitter, he could go get a snack, go get a drink, whatever.
Anything, really. But even then, like, the worst part about this is, it's like, oh, it took setting up this entire board just to beat me. When need I remind you he was essentially trying to do the exact same goddamn thing himself? And the worst part is he had an out to it.
Hello, Pot. This is Kettle.
Pretty much. It's what we call double standards. Well, that's what a lot of communities will call double standards. And that especially just needs to outright stop. Because, yeah, as somebody who was like that at one point with Yu-Gi-Oh!, that is just not cool, that is uncalled for, and it's just sad.
It's like saying, oh, I'm playing a zoner in a fighting game. That means you're not allowed to play a zoner in this exact same fighting game.
It's like you complain about zoning being overpowered, and yet you play the Belmonts, who are designed to essentially camp. And while I get it, no one wants to deal with Quasar, and no one really wants to deal with Inspector Border either. In general...
For me?
Which one?
The Quasar, because I like watching it go off.
Well, to be fair, that's also because it's rare these days, but we're getting off topic. But essentially, salt in general, it's fun to expose it just because we get to show, like, someone's true colors and how they just want to keep complaining. But in reality, we all do it for two reasons. Number one, it's just fun to show that. Like, expose the salt for what it is. And number two, we also sometimes will do it just to show, like, people what they're doing is wrong and that they can change. The problem is you get those kinds of people who don't want to change, and that's just sad.
You get the types of people who think they cannot think during a match and have to just do the most unbreakable boards and stupid, impossible to stop things they can do to win, and if it doesn't work, then they complain about it.
I mean, granted, Quasar kind of has to fall into that category because you get hand-trapped once, you basically lose without an interaction to stop it. Don't worry, I've got 2 in hand already, but nonetheless. Essentially, what we're getting at here is that, number one, if you're complaining about people doing the same shit you're essentially trying to do, let me move this over a bit, by the way. That's just double standards, and that has never been cool. That has actually been pathetic, as somebody who has actually done that before. And if you're complaining about something, rather than taking the time to look into, like, where you screwed up, or how can I out this if it happens again, you just proceed to complain.
If something happened in a game to make you mad, you're not a mindless blob. Don't just keep on complaining about it. You have a brain. Think. Figure out what you did wrong.
Or hell, I've actually had to deal with that with Naganadel and PTCG recently, but that's beside the point. Essentially, what we're getting at is, it's fine to get salty to an extent, because that can happen just naturally, it's normal. But if it gets to the point where you're negatively affecting other people around you, that's when it just starts to get, yeah, no. Look at me with Mario Kart. I will have no shame in admitting that. But essentially, like, stuff like this is not only unhealthy for the community, especially when it gets to toxicity levels, but it's also unhealthy for the individual person as well. Because rather than, like, thinking about something and figuring out how to out it, and being at ease once you figure out the strategy and actually having satisfaction of figuring that out, you just choose to sit there and complain and get absolutely nowhere. Like, how does that work?
You're complaining about yourself not being wrong in any way. You're consistently saying that's your opponent's fault and not yours, and that you did nothing wrong, instead of actually finding what you did wrong and how you can improve.
So, long story short, you're like the elitist generic males in Obelisk Blue. Let's see if anyone gets that reference. But anyway, yeah, to go back on topic, essentially, I will point out the misplay in a second when it happens, but long story short, this kind of salt is not so much salt, it's more just toxicity because, rather than looking for where things could have gone differently, I choose to just sit there and complain about something that was essentially similar to what I was trying to do. And yeah, Quasar and True Draco say, no, you can't play in different ways, notably with stuff like Evenly Matched, and there can be only one for True Draco, and Quasar just having Omni Negates on board anyway. But, no matter what way you look at it, it still tries to do the exact same thing. No, you're not allowed to play. And that's more why I say this is double standards, because either way it's the same damn thing. Just with a different coat of paint. But since we're running a little low on time, I just want to wrap this up with the final words, just so I can get this out of the way. Essentially, like, there are so many different ways that you could just stop to think about a situation over and over again. And I will say this from personal experience, watch your replays. Okay, right here is the misplay. He set True Draco Apocalypse when he should have waited and played Evenly Matched, and then proceeded to set it on main phase 2, and go from there. But yeah, any final thoughts, Desert, real quick, because we only have a few seconds left?
Not really, you can just go ahead and wrap up.
Yeah, because I pretty much got everything I needed to say out of the way as well, and the replay just ended. Also, yeah, I had Twin Twisters on board, so it really didn't matter. It was game either way, but we're getting off topic. But yeah, that's basically all we have to say about the situation for now. We'll talk about it again if it comes up again later. Because it very well might, who knows. Rather, actually, scratch that, it will. But until then, hopefully not anytime soon, catch you guys around. Later.
Later.